Okay, so today's topic is patient-reported outcome measures. This is something which is new to many of us. So a little bit of explanation is necessary, and also to understand the logic and the rationale for this is also needs to be known. So see, we are all familiar with the process of measuring the patient satisfaction, and this is something which is been implemented in large number of hospitals, large number of hospitals in the armed forces, also in many hospitals. Patient satisfaction is routinely being measured. Now, this measurement is typically happening by giving a form, and the patient fills up that form. And some places they also have the kiosks and the touch screens where this kind of the satisfaction feedback is recorded. Now, in the in these times of uh, in these times of consumer awareness and increasing acceptability that or increasing acceptance of the idea that patient also is a kind of a consumer, largely uh, influenced by the societal changes and also by the way the law has been operating, at least in our country, for last about 25-30 years. So the concept that the patient knows best is something that is gaining ground. Of course, this is not true in some part, but is also true in some part. Now, obviously the technicalities of medical care, the science of medical care may not be known to the patient at all. In fact, the patient may be blissfully oblivious to it. But each one of us and each patient of us who's getting services and the care from us understands whether he has been benefited from a particular treatment or a therapy or a line of care. So this is where the focus currently is, and the patient's benefit as reported by the patient himself is something that is the new way, or you can say the way which is now getting accepted in the medical practice. And on its part, the NABH in its 5th edition of hospital standards have come up with the requirement that the prompts will be developed and implemented. Now, in the accreditation system, notably in the NABH, in fact, the JCI also now requires it in their new edition. So the requirement is, or the expectation is, that the hospitals will develop tools or the questionnaires which will measure prompts, or which will capture the patient reported outcomes, and there will be some method of measurement and also tracking. So we capture it and then we track over a period of time. So we'll just see the rationale and how this patient-reported measurement outcomes, the patient-reported outcomes are being captured and measured. So first we must understand, or we must look at, what is the patient's experience. Now, patient's experience includes interactions that the patients have with the health system, that is with the doctors, nurses, staff in the hospitals, health insurance companies, and just about with anybody and everybody with whom the patient interacts for the purpose of his health requirements. It includes aspects that patients value highly. So timely appointments, easy access to information, good communication. These are some of the parameters which may not be the essential part of the science of healthcare or the medical care, but these are some things which are valued by the patients in general. And we also, in our patient satisfaction measurements, whenever we do, we have these things incorporated in many of the patient satisfaction measurements. So understanding patient's experience is imperative for patient-centered care. Many of us, I'm sure, have heard this word or this phrase called patient-centered care, where the patient is the center of everything. So all care-related decisions are being made by the patients. All outcomes are being measured by the patient, and it is the patient's voice which must eventually find which must eventually be heard in the health systems. So that is the reason why we are now talking about it. So the patient experience measurement helps us to assess the extent to which the patients are receiving care that is respectful and responsive to their preferences, needs, and values. We'll see some examples, and then we'll get a better idea as to what we are dealing with. So evaluating patients' experience along with other components such as effectiveness and safety, which typically is measured by the doctors and the healthcare providers, the experience is something that the patient goes through. So evaluating patients' care along with the other components such as effectiveness and safety of care essential to the complete picture of healthcare quality. So we are now trying to look at the quality of care being provided not only from the perspective of the doctors and the healthcare providers, where we are saying, okay, a certain quality of facility, a certain protocols to be implemented, the effectiveness of treatments, the control of HAIs, the healthcare associated infections. So if we have achieved a zero COTI rate, then we are very happy about it, thinking that we have done a great job and we have prevented COTI, and therefore our care is of a good quality. The patient may not share our enthusiasm. That is the reason why we are now looking at quality, not only from the perspective of the doctor or the providers, but also from the perspective of the patient. So what is the difference between these two, the experience and the satisfaction? So the terms are often used interchangeably. And when we are talking about the patient experience, it is whether something that should happen in the healthcare setting actually happened and how often it happened. For example, each hospital, at least the ones which are NABH accredited, have a service standard requirement. And in the service standards, we say, or the hospital's procedures say, and the NABH demands it that way, that whenever a patient is spoken to, he will be spoken to politely using his name, and he'll be addressed in a respectful manner. Now, this is something that the policies provide. The patient would want to go through this experience of being addressed by someone in a polite and respectful manner, not once, but possibly every time, on every occasion, with everyone with whom he interacts in the hospital. So to get a sense of it is like the patient is interacting with the doctor, and the doctor has explained some part of the surgical procedure, and he simply says that, okay, the rest of it will be explained by my junior or by a member of the team or by the nurse as to how the preparation will be done and what all will happen. And the junior staff, if they don't have time or they don't have the inclination, or sometimes they may be committed in other activities, then this kind of a communication may not happen. So from this side of the provider, from one provider's perspective, the task has been accomplished, but from the other provider's perspective, the task has not been completed, and as far as patient is concerned, it has not been done at all. So that's the differences that come up when we start measuring when we start looking at things in a holistic way, or in a broader broader canvas. So a satisfaction is whether the patient's expectation about the health encounter has been met. So this is what is satisfaction. Now, two people having the same care but having different expectations about how the care is supposed to be delivered can give different satisfaction ratings because of different expectations. So let me quote an example here from a live experience that I had just about 2 days back, day before yesterday. So I was interacting with a group of doctors for one of the assignment that I had, and in that sitting, one doctor said that when you go to All India Institute of Medical Sciences, the environment is very impersonal. Nobody talks to you properly, and therefore it's not a good experience going there. Now this is from a doctor who's a very senior, a retired professor, and he's a retired professor of pediatrics, and this comes as a opinion of this person who has possibly interacted and has gone through some care or seen some care processes in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. Whereas you would have another person who comes to the same institute, goes to the same OPD, and he's seen by a doctor and he gets a treatment to which he feels that the doctor has done everything that was possible to be done, and therefore he is very happy about it. Now compare these two situations where there is one person whose expectations of doctor's encounters are totally different, and here is another person whose expectations are different. So therefore, when you measure the satisfaction, the ratings will be totally different by these two different people. However, if you were to measure this using a validated tool, then it is likely that you will get a similar measurements, because the questions will be far more specific and they will be better framed, and or in that sense they would be validated. So what are the prompts? The prompts are tools that ask questions about people's health outcomes upon interaction with the hospital. So a patient comes to the hospital, he gets treated, gets cared for, possibly just has an encounter in the OPD, or he gets admitted, undergoes a procedure and goes home. So here we are talking about the tools, the prompt tools as they are called. We are talking about, and these are essentially the questionnaires. So we are talking about these tools where the patients are being asked about the healthcare outcomes, and we'll see a couple of small examples, because it will not be possible to go through the entire set of questionnaire, but let's see how the whole thing looks like. So these are standardized, validated questionnaires completed by the patients to measure their perception of their functional well-being and health status. So patients rate their health by scoring the severity or difficulty in completing certain tasks and activities, and this is what gives the objectivity to the measurement. That if a patient has undergone let's say knee replacement surgery, he's got a knee implant, and now you are asking this patient 1 week after the surgery as to how much movement he has. Now this is something where there will be a very clear answer as to what is the degree of movement, as to how many degrees the knee can be bent or moved, or whether there is a pain or whether there is a swelling or some such thing. So it will be an objective measurement, and that is why this is gaining ground. So here the patient is rating, so it is the answers or the response of the patient who is measuring the outcomes. This can be generic, so we are talking about the generic questionnaires, which is talking about overall quality of health or quality of life. And it obviously has to be disease specific as well, because the questions that we are going to ask about from a patient who's undergone a knee replacement surgery will be different from the questions that will be asked to a patient who's undergone an appendix surgery, or for that matter a person who's had another laparoscopic surgery or a spine surgery. So these kind of these are questionnaires which are specific to a disease or a particular disease group, which may have common symptoms and certain common rehabilitation processes. So prompts are, so the information about the status of a patient's health condition that comes directly from the patient without the interpretation of the patient's response. So here we are not attaching any interpretation to the patient's response. We are asking a direct question and the patient is giving an answer which we are not even attempting to interpret. Sorry for this spelling mistake. It is supposed to read these. So these include symptoms, functional status, and other health-related quality of life measurements. Why do we measure prompts, or why do we need to measure prompts? Is because this is supposed to measure the intended consequences. So in prompts, what we are trying to measure is, and what do we mean by intended consequences? So we are saying that a certain degree of mobility will be achieved, certain symptoms will be relieved. For example, a person comes with low backache, a long-standing low backache, is offered surgery, and subsequently he experiences relief from his symptoms. However, the surgery for backache is, or lower back pain is something where in the longer or the medium and the longer term the pain returns. So as far as the patient is concerned, the symptom is not fully relieved despite the fact that the surgical procedure was fully successful. So the intended consequence has not been achieved, even though in the technical terms, in pure technical terms, the surgical procedure was a successful procedure. So therefore, prompts are important because we are measuring the value as seen by the patient. And this also works across the continuum. So when we have, let's say, a situation where a person has undergone a surgery for knee replacement, or any surgery for that matter, in today's medical practice, where the practice of medicine is a team-based practice, where you have multiple professionals who come along, work together, and then deliver care. The care, this you can measure on a continuum, which means you have a questionnaire, which is, let's say, is implemented today pre-operatively, then you implement it after a week after the surgery, and then repeat it after a month, then after a 6 months period. So you have a serial measurements of evolution of the patient and how he is being helped or not so helped by the surgical or by the patient care processes. And it supports accountability, because eventually it is the patient to whom the care is supposed to benefit, and therefore this provides a certain degree of accountability. Prompts help to monitor the patient's progress, because this is done using a standardized questionnaire which is validated. So what you measure today and what you measure after 1 month, you can compare the two and see the difference. It facilitates the communication between professionals and patients, because here the patient is able to give you a direct feedback as to whether he has been benefited by the procedure and by the medical treatment or not. It helps to improve the quality of health services. So that is the reason why most accreditation programs across the world are now coming to depend on prompts as a measurement process or a measurement method, which can help us in improving the quality of care. So prompts are used to measure the outcomes of healthcare services from people's own perspective. This we have said just to reinforce the point. So the information is directly from the patients. It is collated, analyzed, and fed back to the care providers. So eventually what the patient is telling us is required to be analyzed, in the sense, in terms of the degree of improvement, or in terms of collating the information. Let's say you collected this information from a group of 10 patients who have undergone similar same treatment, and then we see how many people have been benefited and to what degree. So then, based on this information, we can implement changes in the way the care is delivered. The health professionals use prompts to monitor individual patient outcomes. So these patient outcomes can be relief from symptoms, or it can be overall improvement in the quality of life. And then the treatments can be adjusted for maximum benefit, or for maximizing the benefit to the patient. So when prompts are put into practice, people with learning disabilities, now this is something that is to be considered when we are developing prompts. Eventually, since the NABH has now put it as a standard, all of us will eventually reach a stage where we need to develop questionnaires for ourselves. We'll talk about the questionnaires which are already available, but one of the methods is that we develop questionnaire ourselves and validate them, standardize them. So when we do that, we'll have to remember this aspect, that when these are put into practice, people who have learning disabilities or low literacy skills may struggle to complete them. Therefore, making a questionnaire which can be answered by patients across the society is something that is necessary, and that is what is meant by having a standardized questionnaire and by a validated questionnaire. So you have a questionnaire which is understood, and it can be answered by most patients. So what are the advantages? So these are the outcome metric relevance. So this is a metric which is relevant to all of us. Typically, most of us try to measure the KPIs, the key performance indicators, and NABH now, like NABH or JCI or any of the accreditation systems, they all ask for measuring the KPIs, the key performance indicators. So these KPIs, when we measure, we may miss what matters to the patients. Why? I mean, this example is here. we are happily measuring the COTY rates in the hospital, the catheter-associated urinary tract infection. But patients are not bothered about the COTY rates. They are bothered about the symptoms and the relief from the disease for which he came to the hospital. So therefore, this measurement, even though it is highly relevant to providing care, but the relevance to the patient as far as the outcomes are concerned is not so much. What is often overlooked are the issues that impact the patient's quality of life. So despite the successful surgery, if the patient continues to have pain or the patient continues to experience symptoms, then he is not going to be happy about it. As a patient, the primary importance is, am I going to live? But the second question is, how is it that my life is going to be? So the expectations of the patient. So essentially, you would have possibly realized that the PROM essentially looks at the whole process of providing care from the patient's perspective. And therefore, the PROMs provide the missing link in defining a good outcome by capturing the quality of life issues that patients care about and which often cause them to seek the care in the first place. The next advantage is guide for appropriateness and efficacy. So the prompts can help us guide appropriateness and efficiency efforts. So many techniques are used in the operation theaters, and they all contribute and they all are attributed to very different costs. So when looking at a measurement like physical function after different types of reconstruction, the data shows that three main ways of reconstructing a hip are associated with very different costs. So a most expensive treatment may not necessarily be the best in terms of functional outcomes. So when we start measuring functional outcomes using PROM tools, then we figure out which particular procedure benefits most rather than the most expensive one or the most popular one. So this is one advantage of PROMs. I know there will be questions, so we'll take those questions once I finish just about 3 more slides, and then we can have the questions and a discussion as well. We have some people in the audience today, Dr. Rajans, who has some experience with PROMs in his own work. The other advantage is better shared decision making, because here the patient is directly involved. So the options with major surgeries sometimes can be incredibly morbid, and patients are faced with difficult choices in trade-off in mortality versus morbidity and whether to take a decision. So if the PROM data is available, then this can help the patients in making a decision, because then the patient is benefited from the experience of other patients. And I think all of us are aware in our own lives, in our near and dear ones, within our own social circles, that whenever a major surgery is required to be undertaken for a patient who's from within our families, we do try to speak to other patients, and we do make an attempt to find out as much as we could possibly whether this surgery is going to be beneficial, and if yes, or if so, then to what extent. Obviously, when it comes to emergency procedures, such questions are possibly not that relevant, but in elective procedures, these questions are invariably the questions come to the mind, and therefore they need answers. If a patient wants to know how he is going to recover from his laminectomy, he can look at PROM data and see that immediately post-surgery, most patients have almost no leg pain, but around the 3-month mark, some of that patient starts to creep back in. Now, this information is going to help the patient in deciding whether he should undergo that surgery or not. So PROM is a key factor in appropriately setting patients' expectations and guide decision making in terms of whether or not the benefit is high enough to justify the surgery. PROM's advantage as far as the providers are concerned, so it is helpful from the standpoint of patient flow. The providers are being asked to do more and more with less and less. This is something which is happening because world over there is a movement to reduce the cost of care. And here also you would have everybody almost must be aware that the way the insurance companies and also the government agencies, they negotiate to reduce the cost of care, and the patient also is interested in reducing the cost of care, and therefore this becomes an important aspect. Additional data from prompts can save time and enable deeper understanding of patients' concerns. And then this will help our own care processes. So when we are explaining consent, for example, and we are talking about the risk benefits and the long-term consequences and the benefits that will come from a particular treatment, that is the time if we have prompt data with us, then we can give a better counseling. A patient is also in a better position to understand. There is also an element of value demonstration and transparency, because here the patient's voice is being captured, and the value that the patients are receiving is being kind of informed by the patients themselves. So when this data is publicly available and in many countries you can actually access this data, UK for example, and this can be used for making decisions. So what are the tools that we have? These are the two examples I have given, but if you search the internet, you will find there are a large number of examples. These two I have given because these two are possibly the common ones. You have consumer assessment of healthcare providers and systems by AHRQ. AHRQ is the agency or the body of the government of United States of America. It's called the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, and their focus and their mandate is to work towards quality. Those of us in the here who have been part of the accreditation and the quality systems would be aware that you can actually get large number of quality tools from AHRQ website. So their website is actually a huge, very valuable resource, something similar to the CDC Atlanta website, where we get a large amount of infection control resource. So similarly from the AHRQ you can get a lot of quality resource, and this is also available on the AHRQ website. The other tool is the tool called EQ5D by Eurocall. In fact, the Eurocall is an organization, it's a European organization, and they work exclusively in the domain of providing the prompt tools. Most of these tools, because they are standardized and they are validated, the data is analyzed. The hospitals contribute to this data. So the hospitals can get comparisons with other hospitals. Of course, this is anonymized, but then these kind of comparisons are available. And for that reason, these prompt tools many of these tools are paid. That means you have to subscribe to the services from these organizations. And that is the possible reason why NABH in its requirement as requirements of prompt tool in 5th edition has said that the hospitals should develop prompt tools. Developing is also a way of doing it. You can have your own prompt tool and it can be used. Though there are methods which have to be followed to ensure that the tool that is developed eventually is useful, it is standardized, and it is validated. So I have finished my presentation. If there are questions that can be that I'll attempt to answer, and we can also discuss some part of it. Secondly, those who require this presentation, they must. If you give your email ID in the chat box, then this mail can be sent to you. So questions, please. Any questions, Dr. Chandresh, Pramila, madam, Dr. Rajhans?
Sir, thank you, sir. Nothing to ask, sir, but I just had one doubt, sir. How do we validate the prompt questionnaires which we have somehow designed with the faculty, sir? Is there any validating tool for that?
Yes. So typically, a validation of a questionnaire is this is actually a statistical validation that we have to do. So the process is that you make a questionnaire, get it kind of reviewed by people who have the understanding of the disease process, and also are aware of how a questionnaire is made, and then you run a pilot. That means you use this questionnaire and give this questionnaire to a small set of people, patients who will fill this questionnaire, and then you analyze the responses.
So,
Now, there is a measurement called Cronbach's alpha. It's a measurement that you can use for assessing the or for validating the questionnaire. So this is, and if your Cronbach alpha score is not appropriate, then you can tweak the questionnaire, redesign it, make it better, and then rerun a pilot. So this is a back and forth exercise which you have to undertake a couple of times, and that is what leads to a validated questionnaire. I hope that
sir,
answers your question, Dr. Rajan.
sir, 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 sir.
It
Thank
is
you, sir.
possible. In fact, in one of the hospitals where we are working, we are trying to get the tool developed. So we are working at it. Let's see how we go. But yes, we've started that process.
Sir.
Okay. So some people have asked for sharing the PPT. Yes, it will come to you. Dr. D. Rama Mohan has asked how many tools for patient expectation and patient satisfaction. Today's topic on clinical aspects of care. Dr. Ramamohan, I couldn't understand your question. If you can, say that. In the meanwhile, I'll take the next question. Dr. Ashok Sharma has asked the difference between the feedback and PROM. So, Dr. Sharma, the PROM is a validated, standardized questionnaire. That's the difference. Feedback, your patient feedback or your patient satisfaction feedback is not a validated questionnaire. You can design a questionnaire, you don't have to test it, you can keep taking the feedback. But in the same feedback, if you design it in a manner where you are attempting to capture the outcomes and you validate this questionnaire or this feedback form, then it becomes a PROM tool. So that's the difference. Dr. Ashok, if I suppose that answers your question.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And okay, sir. Dr. Rama Mohan, you've asked for this PPT. The PPT will come to you. There is no issue. But what is your? I mean, I couldn't get your question. Today's topic on clinical aspects of care. I mean, I didn't get it. That's why I'm asking you to repeat it. Okay, so some comments, of course. Thank you for those comments. But are there any questions, Dr. Usha Raghavan, ma'am? Can the patient state his expected outcome before the surgery and then compare it with the improvements attained? Madam, typically a PROM questionnaire is also administered prior to the surgical procedure. So you have one PROM rating or PROM assessment or a PROM capture pre-procedure, and then you do it post-procedure. Yes, it is possible, madam. In fact, Dr. Usha ma'am, if I can add to what I just said, that you not only do a measurement before surgery, you do a measurement after surgery, then you repeat this measurement after 1 month and after 6 months of surgery. So this gives you a long-term perspective as to how much benefit the patient has actually derived. The example that I gave of the low back surgery, where after 3 months the patient, many patients do experience recurrence of pain, has come from a PROM tool where this was captured. So this is possible only when this capturing happens or is repeated after a certain period of time. So you repeat it after maybe a month, and then again after 3 months and after 6 months. Yes, ma'am. Definitely for vision improvements. Yes, this is in fact very useful for many procedures. In fact, the organizations which are implementing it for us in India, it is new, but many hospitals which are implementing it across the world, and you see from their websites, you can actually look at the PROM data. So that helps, and that is the reason why PROM is being kind of looked at as the answer to many of the questions that the quality systems try to address. Okay, thank you very much. So if there are no questions, then I'll close the session for today. We meet again next Saturday. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.